probably even hundreds of lifetimes. It is then that srimadbhagavatam becomes pleased and enters into one's life. So it's a very rare opportunity. And I was just thinking how glorious is Srila Prabhupada's service. That even though, or at least I, who haven't done these services for many lives sincerely, still gets to try, still gets to reach Srimad Bhagavatam because of Srila Prabhupada. Because of Srila Prabhupada and the association of his devotees. That Srimad Bhagavatam has entered our lives. What he's taking condition, he's talking about austerity, he's talking about what is the goal of human life. And in the previous verse, in the Bhagavatam, it was said, what struck me really was that human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong. Right? Human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong so that one suffers from the disease and one increases in an envious fighting spirit. Such a powerful statement by Srila Prabhupada. So we don't have to try and make our senses unnecessarily strong. That's what happens. We try to make our senses do things unnecessarily. And that's when the sense gratification becomes stronger. To which Prahlad Maharaj says that one who are demoniac by nature, they serve the senses again and again. But one who are devotees, who are divine by nature, what do? They serve the senses of Krishna again and again. So it's between serving our own senses or serving the senses of Krishna. So we can see here that Narad Muni is talking about the importance of association with saintly people. Right? And who is this Narad Muni? Narad Muni, again in Garuda Purana, it says that Narad Muni is such a personality that when he visits the lower planets and when he starts chanting, so in the hellish planets, when he starts chanting, they suddenly start, the people there start to, the living entities there start to become calm. Right? And that's why it is said that Narad Muni is always allowed to enter those planets and chant. It's never to be stopped. He's never stopped. So that is the personality of Narad Muni, who's always trying to reach the glories of the holy name. That's what he's trying to do. That's his service. And what do? For example, if it's Independence Day and we are the prisoners, the jailer comes and says, I'm going to grant you one wish, one benediction. What do you want? Right? It is Independence Day. So the first jailer comes in front of, the first prisoner comes in front of the jailer, and the jailer says, so tell me, today is Independence Day, what do you want? One benediction. And the prisoner says, one extra soap. Right? One extra soap will be really good to have. We only get one a month, that is not good enough. Can I have one extra soap? And what does the jailer says? Granted. You will be given one extra soap every month. Second prisoner comes in, and jailer again says, today is Independence Day, one benediction is going to come true. What does the prisoner say? I want one extra blanket. During winters it gets too cold and one blanket is not good enough, so I want one extra blanket. Like that, the prisoners keep coming. There's this next prisoner who comes, again the same thing, Independence Day, one benediction, what do you want? And he says, I want to be free. I want to get out of this jail, set me free. So what was the most intelligent thing to do? Ask for one extra soap, one extra blanket, or ask for independence? Naturally, we all know the answer, what is the reality, what is the truth. Because the jailer, the prisoner knows this is a rare opportunity. The prisoner understands this is a rare opportunity. I should not let it go waste. So Srila Prabhupada says an intelligent person should utilize good opportunities. And there are three good opportunities that Srila Prabhupada says. The first one is to get a human form of life. That is the first good opportunity. And we all have that. So we all have human form of life. The second opportunity is to take birth in a saintly family, in a spiritual family where spirituality is encouraged. That is rare, right? That might have happened to you, or that might have not happened to you. And the third thing is, Srila Prabhupada says, the greatest opportunity is to have the association of a saintly person. That is the greatest opportunity which should not be missed. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that we are like prisoners. We are asking for extra soap, extra blanket, which means what happens because of that? We are extending our material state. But really speaking, we must ask on how to free ourselves from this bondage. Right? That is the real question. And who can give us that benediction? Sri Hari himself. He can give us that benediction. So it says, the real business of a human life is to keep oneself fit for advancement and spiritual realization. And this particular verse points out that material life means one forgets Krishna and one is interested in one's own desire. But if one receives the instruction from a saintly person, then he forgets the material desires. It is said, the last line is said about, they quoted Harekrishnatekam. Then what happens? Bhavmaha davagni nirvapanam. The blazing fire of material existence gets purified, gets vanquished. But in Harekrishnatekam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. So na is emphasized three times. It is not said na dhanam, janam, sundarim. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. So na has been emphasized thrice. So there is emphasis on that point. So how do we get rid of those desires? Is when Krishna sends, through his mercy, those saintly people into our life. Right? There once lived a drunkard, and this drunkard would regularly booze heavily, and he would not work, he would not do any work, and his friends would tell him, you should do something to earn a living. And he said, no, luck will strike me one day. So once what happened is, luck actually knocked his door twice. So he asked, who is it? And the reply came, I'm the luck, open the door. And he said, get lost. Because you cannot be my luck, because I know that luck only strikes once. You have banged the door twice. So you cannot be luck, you tap twice. So you cannot be luck. That's what we do. When saintly people come here, even to our temple, if we don't take the opportunity to meet them, to be in their association, then what are we doing? We are acting like that drunkard. The opportunity is coming, but we are not reaping the benefit of it. We had on Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, we had His Grace Gunanava Prabhu coming. Right? A lot of us enjoyed what he was speaking. We got tired by the end of it because he spoke for nearly an hour. And I was just thinking, he may not be here next year, or he may be, we don't know. But if we get the opportunity to associate with a man who was associated so closely with Srila Prabhupada, and if we don't do that sincerely, whose loss is it? He came here, he was purified because he was glorifying Srila Prabhupada, and if we did not come on that particular day to the temple, then who missed out? It is our loss. The opportunity is knocking, but we are not taking advantage of that association. So it's very important when these people come, even if we don't have a rush for what they are saying, even if we don't, sometimes we go, this speaker I like, this speaker I don't like. That is our problem, because they are glorifying Krishna, they are glorifying Srila Prabhupada, so we must, that is our impurities that we are not able to connect. We must like everybody who is speaking about Krishna. So, this is the state of conditioned life, right? We are generally in illusion. Most of the times we are in illusion. The words that has been quoted in the purport is from where Devavati Mata is saying to her husband that I am so solidly cheated by the insurmountable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. So this is Kardama Muni's wife telling him that you are able to give liberation to everybody, but still, despite being in your association, I did not seek it nicely. So sometimes even we do that. Despite having association of senior devotees, senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, senior personalities who visit us, we don't take full advantage of it because they have the capacity to actually deliver us. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it is better to become an insect in the house of a Vaishnava than to become than to even take the position of a Brahma who doesn't remember Krishna. So our life is meant to to get eternal loving service of Krishna, nothing else. That is the purpose. Right? Often Srila Prabhupada would quote Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, where he says, I'm happy to become a dog of a Vaishnava. That's what he says. Gaur Govind Maharaj, he would ask his devotees, are you rich? And the devotee would think, if I say yes, I'm finished, right? But if I say no, then what? What's going to happen? So, he would say, the devotee would say, the safest answer is to say, no, I'm not. He would say, no, I'm not, and then Govind Maharaj would say, mukhe bole, only saying through the mouth, he does not mean it. In his heart, he means that he is rich, but he is only saying that he is not rich. So one time when he was in UK, he sat in an assembly of devotees, and he asked the owner of the house, he asked, are you the owner of the house? Who is the owner of the house? So now he said, if I say I am the owner of the house, I am finished. But he asked again Maharaj, so he did not say anything, he smiled. So but Maharaj asked again, who is the owner of the house? To the owner of the house. So the owner of the house says, not for a while, very smart, intelligently, Krishna is the owner of the house, he said. And everyone started clapping, all the devotees started, oh, good answer, Krishna is the owner of the house. And then what did Maharaj say? Then what are you doing here if this is the house of Krishna? What are you doing here? Right? Then he just looked down, did not say anything. To which Maharaj said, mukhe bole. Only saying through his mouth, he does not mean it. He knows, deep down he thinks that he is the owner of the house, but he is only using, it's just a lip service to say that Krishna is the owner of the house. So, the point of coming to this pastime is, in the previous classes, the theme has been, we are understanding the real meaning of poverty-stricken, right? So many classes we've been talking about the real meaning of poverty-stricken, and we've all understood that if we lack purity, then we are poor. It is not just about money, but it is also about purity. So yes, money is important, right? Money is of course important, and that directly relates to rich or poor. If you have money, then you can get food. If you have money, then in the winter season you can have a blanket. So you need money for all of that. But the real satisfaction comes from purity. So purity is essential for satisfaction. So we might have come to a conclusion that all of us are poor because we are not pure. Is that correct? All of us are poor because we are not pure. If Gaur Govind Maharaj would have been here, what would he say? Mukhe bole. Only saying through his mouth, he doesn't actually mean it. So we have to genuinely feel it deep within that we are no one, we are nobody at the moment. Even if we are living in nice big houses. We live in Australia, everyone lives in houses. You know, initially when I came here and we bought our first house, and everyone who would call up would be like, show us your house from India. Video call, show us your house. Oh, how many bedrooms, such a big house. Backyard and front yard and this and that, everything you have, such a big house. And my mother-in-law also would very nicely, proudly show it to everybody. Just look at their house, this is their altar. And when someone would tell me, the direct person I am, I would tell them, this is the kind of house everybody has over here. There's no big deal. Right? No big deal. But then what we feel? We live in a house. That is the problem with Australia. We live in big houses. We live in such convenience, we have big cars with personalized number plates. Most of us have that. So we are, materially, we are not poor, right? We are above middle, we are upper middle class or even above that. So we are materially not poor, but we must realize that in our hearts, we are really poor, right? That is what we have to understand. And not just mukhe bole, we need to genuinely feel it. It's Bhishma Panchak's first day. Today. The whole point of Bhishma Panchak is because it was the time when Bhishma Dev increased his intensity of prayers. And we must also, like Viraj Krishna Prabhu was mentioning yesterday, we must increase our intensity as well of understanding of who we are, what is lying, what are the demoniac qualities we have. And that we'll understand all of that when we understand the sweetness of Krishna. That's the whole point of this pastime. When we understand the sweetness of Krishna, the Lord, we understand how minute we are. That's when we start to understand. So we must read more and more about Krishna. So how do saintly people help us to understand all of this? Because they use this mode of words to cut through our attachments. When Neil Madhav was 6 months old, I had Prahlad Maharaj visiting us at our home for lunch. And as he turned 6, I started working again. It was just 2 weeks into my work again. Because I was a very career-oriented person. That's how I was raised. So, Prahlad Maharaj, if you met him, you know, he's a very, at least his aura is very strict. Right? And he responds also very directly. He really cut through words. So he came home and we fed him lunch, he ate nicely. The kind of strictness he is with, I'll tell you a little something. I had new plates because when sannyasis come, we give them a new plate. So I still had the sticker on. So I served him. I didn't even realize, I was so new, this is 10 years back. So I served him. Maharaj got up, put all his bowls outside, took the plate, went to the kitchen, put it on the gas, and he said, this is how we take the sticker out. With the heat, the glue came out, and then he said, now you wash and then serve me again. So he is that particular and strict, right? So I asked him, I was like very hesitant. I asked him a question that every mother has once they have children. I asked him, Maharaj, should I work? He only said one sentence. It is too expensive a hobby to have. Children is too expensive a hobby to have. Next day I quit my work, and since then I've never worked full time. Because those words really pierced through my heart, and the situation allowed us for me to quit the work, and Sanathan supported as well, and I could quit the work. Since then I never work full time, and I don't intend to. If situation permits, I don't want to work full time. I will keep working part time, or even reduce so that I can increase my services. By no means I'm saying you should quit your work, but everyone has a personal situation, so everyone works in that way. But all I'm trying to say is, saintly people have that, where they just cut through you know, through your heart, and they will help you make the right decision. That was probably the right decision for me back then, and that's what I took. So Rupa Goswami quotes another Acharya, and he says, my Lord, you have, so he says to Krishna, my Lord, you have 2 options. You always have 2 options, and what are those options? You can either make me a king, or you can make me a beggar. You can either make me popular, or you can make people criticize me. You can either, take me back home, back to Godhead, or you can take me back down to the hellish planets. But Krishna, I only have one option. Whether you put me in hell, or you put me in your kingdom, whether you give me money, or whether you keep me a beggar, I only have one option, and that is, whatever you give me, I'm going to take and I will be happy. And that is the only option I have. So we need to come to this level, where we are able to tell Krishna, whatever you give me, I'm happy, and I will keep serving you. Because Krishna always had 2 options, but we must realize, at the moment we are working on the foundation that even we have 2 options, but we must come to a level where we say we only have one option. Whatever Krishna gives me, I am happy. I am happy. That is mercy, that is blessing. Because our relationship with Krishna is very unique, very beautiful, but we need mercy of saintly people to understand our real relationship with Krishna. Right? As Krishna was growing up, Mother Yashoda would say, you are becoming so thin. You are becoming so thin. And so she started feeding him. Now this is the same Krishna. Mother started feeding him. What happened to Krishna? He became plump. It says in Nectar of Devotion. He started becoming plump, and then what happened? He had 3 lines on both sides, so 3 flaps of belly falling down on both sides. That's how plump Krishna became. It's called Trivali. And what did Mother Yashoda tell him when he used to look at him? You are becoming so thin. I must feed you. So this is even when Krishna is becoming plump. Right? That is the sweetness of Krishna. Attachment. Mother Yashoda had such attachment to the service of Krishna. She would feed him, and through motherly eyes would always think he's becoming so thin. Right? So Krishna can be bound only through service, only through love, only through our personal connection with him. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. Shastra described that Krishna used to, Mother Yashoda used to think so many things to Krishna, like every mother. And the elder gopis would come and tell Krishna, right, would ask questions to Krishna. So Krishna, tell me, where is your face? Now Krishna was not able to speak then, but those are the first things any mother teaches a Krishna, a child, right? So Krishna, where is your face? Krishna would point. That's my face. Then the gopis would ask, now Krishna, tell me where are your ears? Krishna would think, and then he'll point to his ears. Then he is like, the elder gopis would be like, now I'm going to ask you one tough question. Krishna, where is your nose? He would point to his nose and say, that is easy. That's easy. Easily I can say that. And then I'll ask you now a real tough question. What was the real tough question? Krishna, where are your teeth? Krishna had no teeth back then. He was really young. Right? And then what did Krishna say? Pointing to the mouth, no teeth. He would do this, no teeth. So he would answer that question, no teeth. So we can see that the relationship is so sweet, and Krishna, the kind of pastimes he is enacted for us to relish, they are very, very sweet. Yes, we can learn and read about all theory, and that is important. But really speaking, this month is about getting absorbed in the sweetness of Krishna, understanding the relationship of Mother Yashoda and Krishna. Right? Srimati Radharani, too high for us. Mother Yashoda, too sweet for us. So let's start by understanding at least that. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would, heard, it is one of the Shastras says, those who want to get out of this world, those who want to become yogis, or those who want to study, they worship Krishna. So if you want to become anything, you worship Krishna. But I worship Yashoda and Krishna and Nanda, in whose courtyard Krishna learned to walk. So the whole world can worship Krishna, but I'm going to worship Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, in whose courtyard Krishna learned to walk. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he started trembling. He started crying. His hair started, standing on his hands, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really could feel the intensity of love, of Mother Yashoda's love and Nanda Baba's love. He could feel that. So if we say to Krishna, he may not listen to us directly. Right? If we say Krishna, he may call out Krishna, Krishna, he may not listen. But if we say Yashoda Nandan, then he will listen. If we say Yashoda Nandana, then he will listen to us. And then, when he listens to us, what do we ask for? Not mukhe bole, not things like that. Right? We ask for real things in life. That's what we have to ask for. Right? By the way, I was just thinking, this was a beautiful quote. Heat is everywhere. Right? There is heat outside. Right now I'm feeling heat even over here. Heat is inside. Heat is in the mind. Right? Anger. Heat is in the mind. And heat is in the throat, especially for a person like me. When you talk too much, there is heat in the throat. And when you eat too much, heat is also in the belly. So heat is everywhere. And there's fire everywhere. So what is the coolant? If we ask, we need to ask for the coolant. But heat is so much around us. We cannot even, heat is in between relationships as well. Always heated arguments. We cannot see good in people, criticizing people, finding fault in people. So there's heat everywhere. What is the coolant? The coolant is, it is said, Chandanam Shitalam Loke, Chandanat Api Chandrama, Chandra Chanda Yor Madhya. So Chandanam Shitalam Loke. So most cooling is Chandanam, sandalwood. It is most cooling. But Chandanat Api Chandrama. What is more cooling than sandalwood? Moonbeam. Yes, the light of the moon is more cool. And then Chandra Chandanam Yor Madhya. But then there is something more cooling than sandalwood, more cooling than moonbeam. And what is that? That is Shitala Sadhu Sangati. Shitala is cooling, Sadhu Sangati. Sadhu Sangam, association of saintly personality, is more cooling than sandalwood, more cooling than moonbeam. So, Chandanam Shitalam Loke, Chandana Dapi Chandrama, Chandara Chandanam, now your Madhya, Shitala Sadhu Sangam. That is more Shital, the association of saintly people. And when a human life, it says in the purport, enjoys separate from Krishna, then what happens? So there is a little quote given there by Prema Vivarta. So Prema Vivarta is a book which is written by Jaganananda Pandit. and he's a very intimate and prominent associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he says, Krishna bhai mukha bhana bhoga vancha kore nikatastha maya kare japatiya dhare, which means, so Srila Prabhupada has quoted this verse time and time again, and it basically means when the living entity desires to enjoy separately from Krishna and turns away from him, the illusionary potency of the Lord, Maya, immediately takes soul into her clutches. Maya takes over. But when we get the association of sadhus, what happens? Sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu shastra koe, lava matra sadhu sanghe sarve siddhi hoye. A moment of association with the sadhu brings one success. See, we have to be in control of someone. Either we can be in control of Maya or we can be in control of saintly people and Krishna. It is a myth that we are not in, we can be uncontrolled. That is a myth. Even the wild elephant is in control of someone. So it's a myth that either we are in Maya or we are in Krishna conscious. Right? There is Srila Prabhupada said this in one of the purports in Canto 3 that a moment association of saintly devotees is what we are talking about. Srila Prabhupada, when he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it was a moment's association where he received the instruction, go and preach to the West. Go and print books. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati did not know Srila Prabhupada very well then. But he saw that in him. That is the thing with the saintly people. They can see you, they can empower you, and they know what strengths you have, what qualities you have. And accordingly, you are empowered. Right? And that was the instruction he received. Now just imagine, what if Srila Prabhupada had not met his Guru? What if Srila Prabhupada had not followed his Guru Maharaj's instructions? What if ISKCON did not exist? What if Srila Prabhupada had not translated srimadbhagavatam in English? Most of us don't know Sanskrit. What if, those things did not happen? Can we imagine our life right now? So it was a moment of association that Srila Prabhupada had with his Guru that changed our life. So it is not just Srila Prabhupada's life, it is also our life. So it's for generations to come. So a moment with a saint is not just for one person. It is going to change generations if we follow on those instructions. Right? So we can meet and we can be like all bound down, but we have to take those instructions very sincerely. That's when we can bring a real change. That's when we help Srila Prabhupada. Like one of the examples of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. He was born in a very rich family. He belonged to a class of landholders under the Muslim government. But he was very detached and he was deeply drawn to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. So he would, countless times he ran away from his house. Countless times he ran away from his house to join the Lord. And his parents were really fearing realizations, so they really guarded him closely. Now despite all of that, when Lord Chaitanya visited Shantipura, where he actually took sannyas, Raghunath Das ran to him, paid obeisances to him and begged him that Mahaprabhu, please take me with you. I cannot live like this. Now what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? You would have imagined that he would have said, yes, let's go. But he did not say that. He said, be patient for now. Do not be mad. Krishna will deliver you. Soon he will make the arrangement. Soon he will make. So we can see even in this instruction that bhakti must be guided by patience, dhairya. Utsaha is great, but dhairya is needed as well. And then Lord has a plan for us, and then that will take place. So Raghunath Das actually listened to that instruction, went back home. Now after many failed attempts, the arrangement was made by Krishna. One night, Raghunath Das finally escaped their house, despite all the guards around him. Just like how Krishna, Nanda Baba took, Vasudev took Nanda Baba, Krishna to, Vrindavan, despite the guards there. Similarly, he ran away, right? Despite the guards being there. He walked for nearly 12 days without any food or rest. Finally, he reached Jagannath Puri. where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was residing then. And when Raghunath Das fell at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu embraced him. And once he embraced him with great affection, he said, "The Lord has been merciful to you. He has delivered you from the deep well of material enjoyment." And then he was placed under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So now he gets association of a saintly person, Swarup Damodar Goswami, a very intimate, he was an intimate secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das, "I'm putting you under his care and he will guide you for your all spiritual endeavors from here on." Now as they started doing services together, extreme humility started developing. That is the power of association. You associate with drunkards, you will drink one day. You associate with saintly people, you will develop humility. So initially they used to beg for prasad everywhere, eat whatever little came in. Later on, they started eating from whatever remnants was left near the bins, and then they eat only for survival. So that's how their life was. But it didn't matter for them because they were getting more and more internal. So this month is about going internal as well. So they were also going more and more internal, where they were developing, where Raghunath Das was actually developing, feeling the separation from Srimati Radharani. And they were developing the mood of Vipralamba Bhava. That's the highest mood one can get to. So by the mercy of Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das got to understand the most intimate feelings that any devotee aspires to develop. Right? And after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, and most of the associates, Raghunath Das was left by himself. He was struck with grief. Like everyone has gone, there's no one here. So he left Puri and he wanted to jump off Govardhan Hill. And he wanted to take his life. What is my life? And then that's when Raghunath Das met Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, who were residing in Vrindavan then. They stopped him and they said, "Your life is not your property. It is the property of Mahaprabhu. You must live to preach his glories." So he lived to preach those glories. And then it is said that he decided near Radhakund. So if you guys are going on Yatra this year, very fortunate, you can go near Radhakund, visit his Samadhi. And that's where he decided for the end of his life. And that's where he developed more and more humility and he went more and more internal, developing that, separation. He was experiencing that separation from Srimati Radharani. So we can see through these examples that association of saints is so important. Without association, he wanted to jump off the cliff. Again, he got association of Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, he was okay. Right? So that is the power of association. If we are not in association of devotees, we are in deep danger. We don't know, but we are committing material suicide this year. Right? So we need the association of devotees. Sometimes we don't get along with devotees, and that is okay. We still need to associate with devotees, even if we don't get along, because only that is going to help us to get out of it. At least they are going to remind us of Krishna. The point of being in association is to talk about Krishna. At least they will remind us of Krishna. We may not get, my Guru Maharaj would say, we may not get along with everybody. And that is okay. That is okay. But at least we must remind each other of Krishna. At least in their names, we must think about Krishna. Right? So we can see that Sanatana Goswami was the Sambandha Acharya, which means he helped us understand our relationship with Krishna. Rupa Goswami is Abhideva Acharya. He helped us, he taught the process of devotion. And Raghunath Das Goswami is the Prayojana Acharya, which means he taught us the ultimate goal, Prema Bhakti. Right? That was their specialization, so to say. They all achieved Prema Bhakti, but that was their specialization. So if you haven't read the book Mana Shiksha, it's a beautiful book that talks in detail about these feelings. So by associating with devotees and serving them faithfully, we can get out of the bondage and we can attain the highest perfection of life, and we can go back to Godhead. So I'm going to skip a little bit because we're running half the stage. What time do we need to finish? Okay. So association with the materialistic person, like I said, leads one to bondage. But the same association with the saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. Even if we perform something without knowledge, we will be able to attain liberation. Devotees don't even want liberation. But that is the power of association. In case of Hunter Mrigari, we see that association with Narad Muni delivered him as well. Right? He gave up everything, and it was only a few moments of association. And in case of Dhruv Maharaj, what did we see? Again, he knew that Narad Muni is a great devotee, but what did Dhruv Maharaj focus on? He wanted a position higher than his great grandfather. That's what he was requesting for. And what did he get? Love of Godhead. But how did that change happen? Because of that moment's association with Narad Muni, a saintly personality. Saints know what to give whom what. So though we are aiming for something else, we want to go for something else. Because they know what's going to happen. Right? What is right for us, they know that. Right? That's how they guide us. So that is the power of association with saintly people. Of the many wonderful pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, I would like to share one where Srila Prabhupada, when he was traveling to South America one time in the plane, he sat with two servants. He was in the middle, he sat right and left, where they had been given a pack of lunch by devotees. And normally Srila Prabhupada would not eat in the plane, normally as he would never eat in the plane. So in the air, Shrutakirti Prabhu, who was his personal servant there, opened Srila Prabhupada's lunch box. And there was puffed rice and peanuts. So Srila Prabhupada ate whatever he could, and then he gave the remnants to Shrutakirti Prabhu, and I don't recollect the name of the other servant, but he gave the remnants to them. Now just as they began eating, an air hostess happened to pass by. What did the air hostess do? She peeped over, she said, "Oh, that looks nice." She took a bite and she ate it from someone else's box. She just ate it, just like that. Something in her triggered it, she ate it, right? And then she asked Srila Prabhupada, "Would you like something else?" Now Srila Prabhupada said, so this is Srila Prabhupada was flying economy class, not first class. She asked, "Would you like anything else?" Now Srila Prabhupada would normally not take anything, but he said, "Okay, I'll have hot milk." So air hostess went to the first class, boiled some milk, brought it back and gave it to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada drank it. Anyways, we might think the pastime is over, right? She ate something, it's over. Now Shrutakirti Prabhu again went to South America during a preaching tour, and one of the devotees told them a story that took place in Brazil. So right? And what he says, one devotee came up to Shrutakirti Prabhu and said, "I was going in village door to door knocking and distributing books. There was this one lady who opened the door. She had put on tilak. There were Srila Prabhupada's paintings all in the house. And as she opened the door, he welcomed the devotee inside. And then she said, I had met Srila Prabhupada in the plane. I'm the air hostess. I had met Srila Prabhupada in the plane. And then she found the name through the boarding pass that he is Srila Prabhupada. Because she was attracted to the personality, to the smile of Srila Prabhupada, to the personality of Srila Prabhupada. She found the name of Srila Prabhupada. She found books of Srila Prabhupada. She read them and she became a devotee. And she dedicated her life to Srila Prabhupada. She never met him ever again. But that is the power of a moment's association with Srila Prabhupada. So even we associate with Srila Prabhupada every day in and out. Yes, we are not fortunate enough that we got personal association, that's how I feel at least, that I did not get personally to serve him. But Vani, we can hear him. Right? And those moments of us, we need just one moment, that moment where we get extremely attracted to him and we dedicate our life to him. We are already on the path. So that is the power of association of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. And we have no qualification to judge who a pure devotee is and who is not. That's why we must consider, Srila Prabhupada said, everyone is a pure devotee of the Lord. Because we are so, shallow inside that we cannot judge a person on how deep they are. Sometimes we judge them, but we don't know the depth. of their understanding of Krishna. Krishna does not want the best class. He does not want the best food, prasadam. Srimati Radharani cooks for him every day. Like, seriously, I mean, we can cook for him, but Srimati Radharani cooks for him every day and never a dish gets repeated. And we feel so great about our cooking when we serve it. Look at my plate today. I've served 5 things to him today. And we feel very good about ourselves. But Krishna appreciates that too. He loves that because he wants love. He's not looking for anything else. He's not looking for a perfect ritual. He wants love from us. That's what he wants. And that's what saintly people give to us. They just ignite that. And then we take the steps further. But if this opportunity comes and we don't open the door, thinking that luck only knocked the door once, then it's not going to work. Right? So we have to take these opportunities that come our way very, very seriously. Right? So in the association of pure devotees, the discussions of pure pastimes happen. We discuss the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is very pleasing to hear. Not just for our heart, but for our soul too. And by cultivating such knowledge, our attraction slowly and gradually increases for Krishna. Right? It is a slow, gradual process for us, but it happens. For some people, it is quick like that. For me, it's a bit slow. But it's happening. Right? We cannot. I told in one of my previous Bhagavatam class, if I ask you, Mataji, today don't chant 16 rounds. No chanting today. You are free today from chanting. You won't be able to live without chanting. You will still chant. And that is a guarantee. Because we may not know it, but we are developing attraction for chanting. We are developing attraction for Krishna. Slowly and steadily it is happening to each one of us. When Michael Grant, now known as Mukunda Maharaj, the first disciple of Srila Prabhupada, was in New York, he was invited to a simple gathering on the 26th Avenue. And there was no grand temple there, just a storefront. And Srila Prabhupada would sing. To just his cutouts, he just sat there. He had no mridanga player, no harmonium. He just sat there and he chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Simple tune. Kept on repeating those tunes. And then Mukund Maharaj later says, the first time I heard him chant beside his words, I felt something stir in my heart, and it was all that I was searching for, and suddenly I had found my destination. So that's how he felt. Suddenly I found that, because that was a moment of association with the holy name through the mouth of pure devotee. That is the power. Shyam Sundar and Mataji, they point out that one time they went to a store and they got this wooden statues, they called it. And they went to Srila Prabhupada and said, what is this? And Srila Prabhupada had tears in his eyes. And he said, this is Jagannath, Lord of the universe. So Shyam Sundar, yes.
I think they brought 2 statues, and then after, but they had to go to Jagannath, or they had to get one deity, and then Prabhupada told them to go and get the other one after.
Okay, that might be the true story then. So Srila Prabhupada looked at those deities and he had tears in his eyes and he said, this is the God of the universe, to which Shyam Sundar, Prabhu and Mataji said, Srila Prabhupada's association would help them understand these little details. They were completely unaware. They would treat them like deities, statues, completely unaware. But saintly people will continuously guide us. And this reminds me, one time at Tuning, I'd gone to a home program. She had the lady had the Ganesh statue, deity, on the shoe rack with the shoes. She's of course a local and she had no idea who he is. The moment I saw it, obviously my intention was pick it up and just, keep it somewhere else, but I did not do that. I asked her, hey Christine, he's, this is what we consider him, probably we should not keep him near the shoe rack. And she said, I found him at the lake and I thought he was so cute. My daughter thought he was so cute, so we just got him and we kept him here. And I said, no, probably just keep him somewhere else, in a nicer place. She did that immediately. And next day she called me up, she rang me and she said, what should I do with him? And I was like, probably if you found it at the lake, it was from Ganesh Visarjan, probably something like that. And she said, but this is, it's not pure mud, it's not never going to dissolve in the water. They went and told all the technicalities which I had no answers to. And I said, just leave him where you found him. And that's where she left him. So we don't understand that we are like that Christine, that lady there. We would not have understood anything. Had I found a statue, I would have probably done the same thing because I would have known nothing. Right? But it is because of Srila Prabhupada that we understand, this is Lord of the Universe. This is the pastime behind it. We understand all of those details because Srila Prabhupada taught us that, gave us that. And now who is giving us that? When we have, like Virat Krishna Prabhu introduced Bhāgavatam to us. That's when we get to know all these details. Otherwise, how would we know all these things? Bhakti Charu Maharaj, when he started, actually he read Bhagavatam first. When he started reading, he was an avid reader, he started reading Bhagavatam, and when he read Bhagavatam, he knew Srila Prabhupada was his guru. He knew it straight up, that because Srila Prabhupada in his purports was speaking directly from the heart. When he met Srila Prabhupada in 1977, right, that's very close to the time Srila Prabhupada was leaving his body, Srila Prabhupada looked at him, smiled, and said, so you have come, I've been waiting for you. So look at these two saintly people. Srila Prabhupada has been waiting for Bhakti Charu Maharaj, another saintly person. Sometimes I wonder when these saintly people have meet like all together when no one else is allowed, what kind of discussions are they having? It must be like really intimate pastimes or some Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. They must be having those discussions. And that's what we have to do in our friend circles as well. Discuss Krishna. Right, those pastimes. So I'll end with I had lots in there in different stages and everything, but I think I would like to really end by sharing some sweet pastimes of Maya Yashoda and Krishna, because that just helps us get closer to him. And so I'll skip everything else. So Mother Yashoda would tell different stories, like every mother, to Krishna. And Krishna, what would he do? He would keep repeating stuff. Everything that Krishna would say, he would repeat. Mother Yashoda would say, Krishna would repeat like every child, when they're learning to talk. So Mother Yashoda would say, Ram lived in Ayodhya, so Krishna would say, oh Ayodhya, Ayodhya. Then Mother Yashoda would say, then Krishna, you know what Krishna? Ram had to go on, one bus. And he would do, one bus. Then he met Hanuman, so Hanuman. So he would keep repeating, there was a repetition of all those words happening. And then Mother Yashoda would ask, and then Krishna would ask Mother Yashoda questions. So this happened, but how did that happen? He would forget it. But how did that happen, Maya? You just said this, and then how did that take place? So he would, ask him, he would ask her all those questions. So here we are talking about Krishna, who answered all our questions through Bhagavad Gita. All our questions are answered. He is asking Mother Yashoda different questions. How did this happen? And how did that happen? That is so sweet. Right? That is the sweetness of the Lord. That is so sweet. That is asking Mother Yashoda questions. It is such a beautiful relationship of Mother Yashoda and Krishna. Right? It is said that when, when three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, Ganga is what color? White. Yamuna is black. And Saraswati is reddish. It's considered reddish. So we can see Ganga and Yamuna, they meet, we can see, but we don't see the union of Saraswati. But it is said that when Mother Yashoda would hug Krishna, it was like a sangam of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. How? So Ganga is obviously the milk that was flowing. Yamuna is the tears that were dropping, that came down with the kajal that was blackish in color. So that was a clear union happening there which the world could see. And how Saraswati, it was the love of the heart when she embraced him. That is the sweetness, the love of the heart which is reddish in color. So a union of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati would happen when that took place. Right? So that is how sweet their relationship was. Right? Even Nanda Baba, it is said that Nanda Baba would put Krishna on his lap and I remember this correctly, Nand Baba would share different pastimes. So Krishna would look at him like this. And he was looking at him like this, listening, oh, Daddy is saying this. And he would get tickled by his beard, by Nand Baba's beard. And he would hold on to Nand Baba's beard like that. And hold on to his beard. And you are like, okay, listening to him nicely. So all these things are happening in Nand Baba's house. Right? Because the relationship is very personal. And Krishna accepted that. Right? Krishna accepted that love. Krishna was open to that love. In fact, Krishna wants that love. But we must, obviously we have to go through a process, we have to be patient, but still enthusiasm must not die. All those things must happen. Right? But it is important that we endeavor, at least there should be a desire to take our steps closer to Krishna. One time in Boston, Srila Prabhupada was visiting Boston, and on the radio channel during that time, Krishna book used to play. What they used to do is they used to act out Krishna pastimes, different Krishna pastimes they used to act out, right? On the radio channel. So Srila Prabhupada said, he was sitting in the temple, he said, tune in, I want to see what's happening there. So they tuned in. So the pastime of Kaliya was taking place. So they were all acting out different voices. There was one Mataji, I don't recollect her name as well, but there was one Mataji who was acting out as Mother Yashoda. And she was crying in anxiety. Mother Yashoda, she's crying, she's anxious, will my son ever come back? She's praying, please, deliver my son, please, like Krishna was into the clutches of this Kaliya demon. Mother Yashoda was completely blown away. She's sobbing and she's yelling, she's shouting in pain. And what is going to happen to my Krishna? She's crying. So after that, Srila Prabhupada said to one of his servants, who was that lady who acted out as Mother Yashoda? They must have mentioned some name, and he said, call her. So the servant went to the Mataji and said, you are being called to Srila Prabhupada. So Mataji said, has anybody else been called? To which he said, no one else, only you. Then the Mataji said, why, what happened? And servant said, he heard the radio channel today, must be something about that. She got so scared that Srila Prabhupada is calling him to the room and he wants to talk to her. Right? So she went to the room and she bowed down. And then Srila Prabhupada said, so you were the one who was acting out Mother Yashoda on today's radio channel? So she said, with great hesitation, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Yes, it was me who was doing that. Srila Prabhupada took a long pause. His eyes started getting wet. He had tears rolling down. And he said, keep crying like this in love for Krishna, and then your life will be successful. Keep crying. Right? So we all have those moments in our life. I'm sure each one of us seated over here have had those moments in our life where we have cried for Krishna as well. Those are moments, but they will just go away because it's something else, the priorities change suddenly. But those are the moments, at least I like to write down about those moments. Because when I'm going weaker, reading about those moments will help me go back. So when we have those moments, when we feel extreme proximity to Srila Prabhupada, to Krishna, if we remember those moments through writing, then what happens is when we have a dull moment, we take out that book and we read that and we say, oh, I went through those feelings as well. Right? For example, I started off with my Damodar month not really strong, not really well. Like normally it would be really nice, but this time with all the house moving, it has not been the best. And I felt so guilty about it. But when you read about those things, about your own realizations, you realize, oh, I had that moment as well. And then you come back, then you pull yourself back. Okay, Sneha, pause, let's come back. So we have to pull ourselves back again and again and again. And this happens when we are associating with saintly people, with devotees as well. They are going to pull us up. again and again, and when we are falling down, when we are growing weaker, right, they are going to help us to come back. I think with that, I would conclude today's session. We have about 5-8 minutes more. If you have any questions on his weakness to share, or anything, you know, how's the Damodar month going? Any moment where you felt close to Krishna, or association with saintly person, please share. Because I've spoken enough. And there's fire in them, neither coolant. Yes, please.
I'll just share my realizations. Like yours, mine also, Damodar month did not start out with in a good note, as you know, lots of things are happening. Of course, it's related to Krishna, but because we think we are doing it, then our pride overtakes, and that no, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Yes.
So hearing and chanting, that usually has been the case in previous Damodar month. This year it hasn't been that strong, but then like as time was going, guilt was taking over, but then this Bhishma Panchak is a boost that okay, I have not done well, but now is an opportunity to do that. So I'm trying to make sure that I meditate on hearing and chanting more. And as far as services are concerned, not that neglect the service, but first do chanting, first do hearing, and then take those services out, and then find that yes, services are being done in any case. So my realization has been we think we are in charge and we are responsible. So I have to do this, otherwise it won't happen. But we forget that Krishna is stronger and has more energy than we have. So if we invest our energy in hearing and chanting about Krishna, then he will align everything else, in line. So, but this thing again and again, we have to be reminded that yes, crying out for Krishna is our main business. And those stories you have told very nicely. We have the opportunity to save devotees and hear through devotees. But we may be doing something, like you mentioned about that air hostess, she brought the hot milk to Prabhupada. I mean, that could have been the end of it, But we have to open our hearts to receive that mercy. The mercy of Vaishnavas is always flowing, but we put other things as our priority, and so we are not able to get that mercy. So we have to take that opportunity always, and be open to taking that opportunity. There'll be a million things in material world to do, but if we are not putting Krishna first, then those million things will take over our lives. That's
Yes. Yeah, so true. Thanks for sharing, Prabhu. When you share about this, it just helps us understand that this is real. This is reality. Even we go through our ups and downs, we have to bring ourselves back into it. So thank you for sharing. Anybody, Mataji, you want to share?
It's Damodar, it's like, I don't know, I'm getting more closer to Prabhupada than Krishna. That's what I'm feeling it now. I prepared for Prabhupada's disappearance day. I thought I'd prepare 5 sweets. So I was just thinking how I'm going to prepare. From morning I started, then I did Puran Poli and other things and everything. And I was so satisfied to prepare that 5 Puran for Prabhupada. And even for my father, I don't think I would have done it. So I just, and it's like Damodar, it's like Krishna is okay, but I'm becoming more closer to Prabhupada. That's what my emotion is nowadays.
You're binding him by your love. Thank you for sharing, Mother. It's always nice to do something special for him. Because we can actually feel him, his presence, he's around us. So we can feel him. And through him we can achieve anything in our spiritual life. Thank you. Kunna Krishna Mataji?
I'm just very thankful. I've probably got more obstacles than anyone else, but I'm still here, so I'm just very thankful.
And you were smiling all throughout, still. So thank you for smiling throughout all the past time. I saw you and it's a big smile on your face. It's nice. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? No? Nadia? Okay. Grantraj srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mataji ki jai. Everyone please come for this evening's program.